Hey guys, here's another step for the movie poster series.
Okay guys, so we're down to our last couple of steps for enhancing Mr. Kazama here. We only have to implant a wire into his arm, which, as you can see here, I've already done. And I'm going to go through the different steps with you. It's admittedly a little complicated, but not in the least impossible. So we're going to go, and I'm going to take you all the way back from here to here. I'm going to show you how I did it. So, what we're going to do is take our lasso tool, and we're going to grab this area of the wire right here from our locutus mask from Star Trek. The idea is I wanted to find a wire that would be effective enough, and the only thing I could think of were the Borg from Star Trek, because they've always got wires hanging out of them. And this is what I found. So bear with me while I get this done. Okay, now right click, do layer via copy. And you can see I've already done it once, but I'm going to do it again just for you. Move the layer over to 0 vector mask. And we're done. No, not really. Okay. So, we want to flip it both vertically and horizontally. So go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal, Edit, Transform, Flip Vertical. And the reason why I did this is because the source of light is coming from this part of the wire. And I felt that was important because it would help for the realism when it comes to the source of light of the Pip-Boy. Now we want to transform it to its relative size. So Command or Control T, hold down Shift, bring it down. It's generally where we're going to be. And if you can see this little hole on his Pip-Boy, I'm going to connect that wire to his arm. So just generally keep it there, and it's okay where it is. Now Command and Control T again, right click on it, and we're going to click Warp. And the beauty of using Warp is that you can change things in all kinds of crazy ways. So first I'm going to start with that because we want to look like it's going into his vein. And just experiment with it until you get something that looks right. Also, switch around between Distort and Warp, because Distort gives you the options to actually make changes manually in ways that Warp is a little bit too freeing and can be difficult to make the exact changes. Okay, that's generally where I want it, but I've definitely got a lot more work to do. Right click and go back to Warp. Let's try and warp out this little area to see if we can get it to fit. And it's not exactly working out to the point of where I can warp it. So what I'm going to do is take my lasso tool, just generally go over one small part of the area. Right click, layer via copy. We're making a duplicate. Command or Control T, right click on it, click Warp, and get in there. And just warp it out to the point of where you can really get it changed. And that's pretty good. But we want to make sure that the actual size of the wire coincides with the rest of the wire. Right now this part of the wire looks huge compared to the rest, and you could do that for creative reasons, but I want to keep it normal looking. Now what I want you to do, now what I'm going to do is turn off the burn and dodge layer, which it already is. Here's what it looks like when it's on. Keep it off, and I'm going to grab the clone stamp tool, select my layer, and make sure that all layers is make sure that the all layers tab is on, so you can sample from any layer you want. Sample the layer around his skin, put the opacity at 50%, and just make it so the edges around the wire look like they're embedding into his skin. Don't do it on this side because that will look unnatural. And that looks pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is pretty darn close. So just do one more layer around it, just to try and blend it out a little bit. And I like that. That's not bad. Now what we want to do is give it a shadow, which I've shown you in a previous technique how to do that, but I'll do it again. First of all, you want to link these two layers, or merge them. So go to Layer. With your two layers selected, merge layers. Now it's just one layer. Go down to the FX button, press Drop Shadow. Don't really worry about the settings because they don't really matter. Right-click on the effects button on the layer, go down to Create Layer, press OK. Make sure that the Drop Shadow layer is selected, Command-T. Right-click, Distort, and you can mess with the layer. The two areas that you want to keep accurate are where the wire goes into his skin and where the wire goes into his Pip-Boy. Everything else can be distorted however you like. I like that, so I'm going to press Enter, grab the Erase tool, and just get rid of the unnecessary part of the shadow. Very carefully, of course. There we go, it's looking good. Now reapply our burn and stamp layer. And you notice that because I used the clone stamp tool when the burn layer was off, it created a different part of the skin that makes it look like it's standing out. So if you zoom out, it looks like it's kind of embedded into his skin. But it's a little bit too much. So grab the clone stamp tool and clone the actual wire just to get rid of that little bit of area right there. And that's pretty good. I really like that. Now we want to continue to take steps to make it look as good as possible. And the next step that I'm going to take is erase the parts of the wire that are overlapping the clothing, because that makes it look unrealistic. So very simply, just get rid of that part. And it already looks like it's meant to be there. It's pretty awesome, actually. That's pretty cool. Now one thing you'll notice is that it really stands out as something that shouldn't be there because it's so dark. It is so dark compared to his coat. So what I'm going to do is change the brightness and contrast, Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast, make it a little brighter, just a little bit, and up the contrast a little bit. That's pretty good. Now that part where the skin is meeting the wire is a little bit too obvious, so I'm going to take the burn tool, zoom in, make our brush smaller, and just burn out this part of it so it fits in better. And that works. Now I'm going to take the eraser tool and get rid of some of the white line area that's not doing so well, and I'm going to turn on my background layer for reference. You can see there's plenty of white to get rid of, so bear with me while I do that. Okay, so that's looking really good, but we want to do one more thing to make it really realistic, and that is make it so the Pip-Boy's glow goes over the wire itself. So, grab our Pip-Boy layer and simply put it above, and it makes it look like the wire is reflected off the Pip-Boy's light. And there you go. It's actually made it easier than I thought it would be. So I'm going to press Control Save, and we're going to look at it compared to the poster. And there you go. He's got a wire in his arm. So we're just about done with Zero. We've only got one more thing to do, and that's make his eye glow red, the one with the scar on it. It actually pertains to some of the history of the character. The scar and the glowing red eye will be one and the same. So I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video, and then we're going to move on to the next characters.